Hello everybody. I am here in our garage sanding some new hooks. And so that's where I'm going to be leaning forward to get water to sand them. But I wanted to come on really quick because this has been on my mind. Whoop, if I can get that to stay. I got a review on Etsy today that was a 3 out of 5 star review. And as you guys know, I did a sale on my patterns the other day, yesterday, and got a lot of new people purchasing patterns from me. So these are people who may have been following me for a while, but they've never bought a pattern from me. So I had to expect, there are going to be some people who, were waiting to purchase from me until my stuff went on sale, and then, might be a little more critical than someone who's been purchasing from me longer. And I've been wanting to do a video about those kinds of reviews, more critical reviews, and how to kind of deal with them as a seller and as a designer. So when I got the review today and I went through my normal process of reaching out to the person who left the review, I decided that while I was out here sanding hooks, I wanted to come on and talk about it. So first things first, this is not a rant. This is going to happen. You're going to have people who love your patterns so much and like you as a designer so much that they're going to ignore things that might slip past. Some of my patterns probably have some grammatical errors in them that were missed. I have 45 patterns now that are in my Etsy shop. And even with the testing process, I am very, very big on getting my patterns tested by a lot of people and making sure that they go through the right process so that they are high quality patterns. But we're all human, it doesn't matter how many people look at that pattern. Mistakes can happen. And the things that matter to me in a pattern and are really important to me and that I think make a 5-star pattern, that's not going to be everybody's priority. There are going to be other things that matter to other people. And that's actually how you grow as a designer, because other people will bring things up and you'll say, I never even thought about that as being something that would be helpful in my patterns. And that started with adding my printer friendly options. So I now have 2 PDFs for my newer patterns where you have a printer friendly version and you have the regular full color, full photo tutorial version. So today's review, they said that it was a 3 out of 5 stars. It was on my one of my more simpler patterns. It was my slippers pattern. And the review caught my eye because they said that I didn't include yardage, so I didn't include a recommended yarn size, and I didn't include a recommended hook size, which I said, wait a second, I always include that. That is extremely important for me. It's one of the keystones, of patterns. And I don't think I have a pattern out right now that doesn't have recommended yardage, yarn weight, and all of that. So I knew I wanted to reach out about that. And then it also said that the pattern was super simple, which for me, the pattern's called Super Simple Slippers. And I have had people who have left me not as great reviews because my patterns are so basic. But for me, that's my goal. My goal is to make super, super basic patterns. So what some people again see as a negative, I can't get upset with them if they were looking for a more advanced pattern. That's not what they get with my stuff, so it's understandable. And I can't get upset about it. You have to let it roll off your shoulder. It's easier said than done. I have to say, I'm one of those people who I do want constructive criticism because I want to grow, but I struggle with it. So when I get it, it tends to get under my skin and I'm like, oh man, I work so hard and I don't understand why everyone doesn't just want to love all my stuff. And it just doesn't work that way. This is a world of 7 billion people. And, however many people buy your patterns, not all of them are going to see the same positives that you see in your work. It just doesn't work that way. We're all going to get non 5-star reviews, especially as you get more sales. So What I wanted to talk about is how I reach out to people about not as great of a review. So non-5-star reviews. How do I reach out to people about non-5-star reviews? Because as most of you guys know, if you run an Etsy shop, any review under 5 stars affects your seller rating. So it is important to address it and find out, why they didn't give you 5 stars. There are some people who just out of principle do not leave 5-star reviews. And usually reaching out to those people, there's not going to be a whole lot you can do, but it at least shows them that you care and that you're paying attention and that you want to grow as a maker, designer, seller, whatever. So my first piece of advice when you're dealing with non-5-star reviews is do not ignore them. So don't ignore it and just move on. Don't let it simmer and seethe and just say, fine, they just don't like my stuff. Don't do that. My second piece of advice is going to be to reach out. Reach out to the person who left you the review. Etsy makes it really easy. You can do it on your phone, but you go to your reviews in the app, and there is a button that says Contact Buyer. Super simple. You do have to put a message, a tagline, like a subject line, just like an email. And usually I just put thank you for your review. That's usually my subject line. It doesn't matter if the review is negative or positive. I just put thank you so much for your review, or thank you so much, or thank you, something like that in the subject line. It already starts you out on a positive note. Even if you're upset, it doesn't matter. Start out on a positive note and say thank you. Now, if the review, like the one today, there's something seems off. So for me, the fact that they said I didn't provide specific information that I know is in my pattern, I actually made the subject line the name of the pattern. So for this one, I said that the subject line was Super Simple Slippers, but that's all I said. I didn't say anything else in the subject. So in the body of the message, usually, so this is just in general, if you get someone who leaves a 3-star or 4-star review, maybe they don't even say anything. They may just leave the star review. What you can say is something along the lines of, thank you so much for your support. Again, start out positive. You want to come at this situation with an air of, I want to learn and I want to understand how I could have done better to get a better review from you. And so I usually start out with thank you so much for your support, or thank you again so much for your support, because I tend to send out a message right after someone buys something from me. So this is probably the second message they're getting from me. So I'll say thank you so much for your support. I'm reaching out, or you could say something like, thank you so much for taking the time to leave a review for the product that you purchased from me. I wanted to reach out and find out, or you can say, so I know this is a little bit of a ramble because it's different every time. It does depend on if there's text or not, but usually I'll say, I work really hard to make sure that the products and patterns that I put out into the world are of high quality. And I'm always looking to improve. That's important. You want to include somewhere in there, I'm always looking to improve my work, my products, my patterns, my designs. And then you can say, I wanted to check in with you because you left a 3-star review on this product. I would love to know, to get your feedback on what would have made this product or pattern or design worth a 5-star review. Because I'm always looking to do better, and I would love your honest feedback. And that's as simple as it needs to be. You don't have to go into anything else. You can just say that. Say thank you for your support. Thank you for taking the time to leave a review. I am reaching out because I'm always trying to improve as a maker and a designer. And I would love your honest feedback as to what would have made this product a 5-star experience for you. And I would appreciate that honest feedback. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And that's all you have to do. You can throw a smiley face in there. Again, it doesn't matter if you're feeling a little heated or a little upset, you can use emojis and things like that to help make sure that your response doesn't feel snarky. or upset or anything like that. Come at it 100% from a positive aspect. Another piece of advice is wait a little while before you send the message, or create a draft of your message first. So go ahead and try to draft yourself up a message. Don't send it immediately, and then come back to that message and read it after a couple of hours. So you've had time to breathe and think about it a little bit before you go sending that message. So that is another piece of advice I have. And that's really for, if you have someone who, let's say, for instance, I had someone who reached out to me first. So they did not leave a review, which is always what you hope for. You hope that people will reach out to you first with their concern before they leave you a review. Now, this person had purchased one of our flexible gauge squares. And I woke up to a message from this person saying that they loved everything that they received. They had bought a couple of different things. But they were disappointed in the quality of the gauge square. Now, the flexible gauge squares that we create, which is what they purchased, take a lot longer to print. They are more expensive material, and they are extremely sturdy. So the fact that they're flexible, I think for this person, registered as cheap because it was flimsy. But it's actually nearly impossible to break this material. And that was the point of making it with flexible materials, because a lot of the gauge squares that are out there are like made out of wood or regular plastic. And if you try to travel with them and you put them in a bag with all your stuff, they may snap just because they're in a bag with a bunch of stuff. So our goal was, okay, we're going to make this flexible material, because if you have to throw it in a bag with some stuff, it's not going to accidentally get snapped in half. And if it bends and it actually gets bent to where it stays a little bent, like maybe you folded it up to put it in your bag, if you lay it down on a counter and you get out your hair dryer, your blow dryer, and you just apply a little bit of heat, it will relax back into its regular position. So it's really cool material. And it was easy at first to be like, man, like this person just doesn't understand. Like, we work so hard on these, it's expensive. Like, I can't believe that they would say that it feels cheap and flimsy. Then they said that it felt kind of like a promotional item, that someone would throw in for free. But what I actually realized was, instead of being upset that this person just doesn't understand, you have to say, this person just doesn't understand. And it comes into this education side. And so it took me a little while. It was the same thing that I said before. I took a few minutes, I started thinking about how I was going to respond, because this person was very nice to come to me first, to send me a message first, and not to go write a negative review and not give me an opportunity to talk to her about the product. And so I ended up sending a message and literally explaining everything I just said. Like, hey, these are made out of a material that is difficult to work with, and it's more expensive, and went through that. And I didn't go crazy into it. I just kind of hit the bullet points. And I said, and it's nearly indestructible. And I mentioned exactly what I said earlier, that most of the gauge squares you're going to find out there these days, they are cheaper, but they are also quite breakable if you decide you're going to try to travel with them or store them in any kind of way that's not, going to protect them. And I said, this one's going to outlast all of those, especially if you tend to travel with your work. And in that situation, they came back and they said, I had no idea. Did not realize that was the case. I really didn't read the description of the listing to really understand what I was getting. And so, sometimes it is about education, and you have to remember, instead of being upset and saying, this person has no idea what goes into making these, they probably don't know what goes into making them. And in some cases, and again, going back to the positive side, don't come at them trying to educate them and be, holier than thou, or you just don't understand, try again to be very positive and say, you know, I'm really sorry that you're feeling this way. We work really hard to put out, you know, high quality products, and this is the story behind this product. This is what goes into it. This is what justifies our price point. I hope this helps. That was the end of my message when I went through and I said, you know, here's the deal with this flexible filament. I said, this is why the price is where it is. I really hope that this helps you feel better about the product and know that it is definitely not a cheap promotional product. You know, it is up there with all the products that we put out there when it comes to the quality. And in that case, I actually don't remember if this person ended up leaving a review or not. I would have to go check. But they definitely didn't leave a negative review. And they came back and said, thank you. Now, this won't happen every time. There are going to be some people who are stubborn and who, I had one person who said that they felt like our crochet hooks, that's what I'm working on now. They purchased a crochet hook from us. This was probably a couple months into us releasing hooks in the first place. Came back and said that our hooks felt cheap, that they felt cheap and light. And I said the same thing. I came back and I said, so, you know, our hooks are light for a reason. You know, they're still very sturdy, you know, and tried to kind of have that educational side of this is what goes into making our hooks. This is why they are priced the way they are. But they still were not happy and they wanted to return the hook for a refund, which we don't do refunds. But in this case, again, this was someone who'd never bought anything from me before. And at that point, I just didn't want to fight it. I said, you know, if you're willing to cover the cost of shipping, I don't usually take returns, but I don't want you to have this negative experience. So if you would like to, like I said, cover the cost of shipping, once I receive the hook and I see that it is in resellable condition, you know, there's no damage, then I will refund you for the cost of the product, but not the cost of the shipping, since I already paid that out of pocket. And in that case, that's what they did. They sent me the tracking information, sent the hook back, and once I received it, it was still in like new condition. And so I refunded their money. And I think some of it is, one of the tips, another tip that I have is make sure that you are not causing yourself more stress by trying to be stubborn about policies and things. You know, and pay attention to the person that's actually having the issue. If this is someone who has supported you multiple times, if they purchased multiple things from you, maybe something didn't arrive in the mail like it was supposed to. In some of those cases, depending on what it is, I might just replace it because they are someone that I know is probably going to continue to support us over time. And I don't want them to feel like they're walking away with a negative experience after having a bunch of positive experiences working with us and purchasing things from us. So I hope that you found these tips helpful. That's really how I manage, you know, the negative review process. Once I get the review, I don't ignore it. I reach out. I try to come at people with a positive, a sense of positivity and understanding. I let them know that I hear them, and you know, and it shows that it's actually a person. You know, when you respond about a review in a way that is, you know, positive and understanding, it really shows people, oh, okay, this person's paying attention and they're actually going to respond if I leave reviews. And so it really gives them the opportunity to say, oh, okay, I'm actually really glad you reached out. This is my issue. Know that they may not change their review. They may not change it to a 5-star review. They may add another star. They may delete their review. They may leave their review the same. But at least you know that you did your due diligence to be an honest and understanding and appreciative person in that Etsy world. Now, if someone does not respond and they do not change your review, now give them a couple of days. Give them like maybe 2 days to respond or change their review. And you don't even have to, I never ask people to change their review, just so you know. That never comes up. I am always focused on the fact that because they left this review, I would love their honest feedback as to what made it less than a 5-star experience, but I never go ask them to change their review. If they do not change their review, or if they gave you a 1 star and they only up it to like a 2 star, I would leave a public response. You are allowed to do this on, I think, all of your reviews now on Etsy. But I would leave a public response. And again, this is not a place to bash the customer. You are not going to leave, you shouldn't leave a response that is in any way negative or you know, down talking or bad mouthing the person that left the review. It should be short and sweet. You should say that you were very sorry that this customer had the experience that they had with your products. Same thing, you always try to ensure that your products are high quality. You say that you reached out to this customer after they left the review to try to follow up and make their experience, or follow up and make things right, but that the customer did not respond. And just say that if anyone ever has an issue with one of our orders, that they can always feel free to contact us anytime, because we are here and more than happy to help. That's what I would say as a public response. And again, that's if they do not respond to you, or if they respond to you and do not change their review. Now, if they respond to you and do not change their review, you can say that you reached out to this customer to try to make things right. And you don't have to say that they responded. You don't have to say what they said, anything like that. Just keep it short and sweet. But the point is to let people know who may be coming to your Etsy shop and seeing your reviews that you are a responsive seller, and showing them and saying in that review response, please reach out to me if you have an issue. I'm here and I'm ready to respond. And you're showing that by leaving that public response on your page. But don't get snarky. Stay positive, because if they see a snarky review, then they know that that's maybe your communication style. And if they purchase from you and have an issue, that might be the type of response that they're going to get if they have an issue with a purchase that they make from you. So keep that in mind, that more than just, you know, everybody can see that public response. And you don't want people to think that if they do have a legitimate issue with something they purchase from you, that's the way that you'll respond to their concerns. I'm trying to think if that's, yes, so that's the follow-up, contacting the person, not ignoring it, how to leave a public response depending on what happens. But just knowing that when you handle things this way, you truly have an opportunity to turn an experience, a so-so experience from someone, you know, maybe they just found you through Etsy and they know nothing about your story or who you are as a maker. And by reaching out to them this way, you create an opportunity for them to say, oh, wow, this is actually a really nice person, and I'm really glad that I supported them. I'm going to go change my review, or I'm going to go buy something else from this person. This is an opportunity for you to connect with people and show them, hey, I'm real and it's me, and I really care about my stuff, and I care about your experience, and, you know, I want you to have a good experience with my shop. So, I think that's everything that I had on my mind. I just knew that I needed to get that out and have that as something that I could share with you all, because I know it's difficult. I know for me, like, I really do tend to let non-5-star reviews get under my skin. And I shouldn't. We shouldn't. You know, you have to know that it's going to happen. And again, there are people out there who by principle will not leave 5-star reviews. It's just not something they do. If you've ever watched The Office, I feel like it's the Dwight Schrutes of the world, you know, who have their principles and they stand by them, and good on them. Like, you have to have your principles, and if you truly believe that excellent service is not a thing, that 4 stars is as high as you're willing to go, then that's who they are. And it's not, you know, in that case, that should be a compliment, because if that's the highest review they give, you're getting their highest review, you know? So try to see the positive side of things, and try to create an opportunity to show people who you are and who you are as a business person, and a product maker. And I hope that it helps make future negative or, again, non-5-star review experience is a little bit easier to handle. I hope this is helpful. If you have any additional questions about this, leave a question or whatever, you know, if you want me to follow up on anything, leave it in the comments and I will follow up on it afterwards. So if you have any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to answer. Again, I'm always here to help. So yeah, I can answer in the comments. And yeah, if you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up button for this video if you found it helpful. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you'd like, and check out my playlist all about business and social media tips. That's where this one is going to live. And if you're on Instagram, welcome and thanks for watching on Instagram. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Until next time, happy hooking!